Hi guys, in today's lesson we are going to be going over support and resistance, but this is going to be a 3-part special. So in this episode we're specifically going to be going over how we find support and resistance levels. So what it looks like, how you're going to find it in the market, and also what time frames this works the best on. And then in the following episodes, we'll be talking about how we can actually trade support and resistance levels. And then finally, how we can trade support and resistance and breakthroughs. So that's going to be something that you're really going to want to look out for. So first of all, of course, you've got to actually understand what support and resistance means, what it looks like. Now, we've already gone through our basic terms. So you will know what support and resistance in terms of its definition actually means. But if you don't, please go back to our previous episode where we do talk about, some common terminology, and then you'll be able to watch this and understand a whole lot more. So what I'm talking about, or what I'm looking for when it comes to support and resistance, is horizontal movement, also known as consolidation or accumulation. As we can see right here, in this area, we can identify an area of accumulation or consolidation because the markets have stopped moving, they've stopped trending basically. Rather than trend to the downside and continue, maybe give a pullback and then continue to trend down, which is what we'd be expecting, which would be something along these lines, up here, pull down, pull back, and then continue. What we have here is that the market is just staying within a really small area. So that is what we're looking for in terms of trying to find this consolidation area. But what we're going to want to do now is draw out with 2 trend lines our support and resistance levels. Now, support is always going to be the bottom. Think of it as a trampoline. So if I just pull this down here and maybe change color so it's a bit easier for everyone to see, we'll change it to black. We can see that this is the support line. Now, why have I drawn it here? Because quite clearly, if you think of a support line as a trampoline, the market comes down, it's wicked through here, and what happens? It shoots back up. That's what we can see. So the market comes down, hits here, shoots back up. Look, all the candlesticks close, shoots back up again, comes down, bounces off this line, and in fact, it might go ahead and do that again. It's going to come down here and then bounce up. That's what we're looking for. Quite clearly, this is the support line. It's just bouncing on it like a trampoline. Now, we also have to find our resistance lines. So, where would we put this one? Because you could say, right here, perhaps, this is a resistance line. Because what we can quite clearly see is that this small area here, well, that's been using it, as a bit of a trampoline. But then it broke through, and now look, it's hitting the roof. It's hitting the ceiling and then it's falling all the way back down. But, that would mean that we'd have another area of resistance up here. Which would mean, hey, we're hitting down here, we're hitting the top, and then we break through. But that's not what I want to do here. The reason why I'm going to put the resistance line all the way up here is because of these wicks. Look, we can quite clearly see that the market comes down here, hits the ceiling. All these candlesticks are closing or wicking on this line. And when it does come all the way down, look how close it gets to this line. Now, crypto is not a game of perfection. You're never going to get that perfect retest. It might not come all the way back up to hit this roof, the resistance, the ceiling, I should say. But if it gets very close, extremely close to this line, that for me, being a professional trader, is something that I would count. If it gets very close to a specific point, but just doesn't touch it quite, that's all right. It's not going to be perfect. So we can see that it does come down here, bounces off the floor, bounces off that trampoline, comes all the way back up here. And now it's just slowly starting to lose momentum. So that's what we're looking for in terms of where I want to draw my support and resistance. So number 1, we find this area of consolidation where the market is not trending anymore. Instead of having that pullback like we talked about, for it to come up here, come down, pull back, come down, and then it would continue to pull back and come down. We've got that small area of consolidation right in here. So that's the number one thing that we're looking for. 2, in order to draw a support, we're trying to find that trampoline, that support that the market is bouncing off. And the reason that I'm putting it here is because these candlesticks are closing on this line, and we've got a wick that's just bursting through here, but only slightly. And it's the exact same principles up here. We can see all these candlesticks are basically closing right on this line here, or just wicking through. So that is quite clearly the area that we want to get involved in. Let's go and try and find another example, shall we? Instead of the 1 hour, which works really well for this, say you're a bit more of a scalper, right? You're moving down to that 15-minute time frame. Let's have a look and see what that looks like. Again, for what we've just drawn, this makes even more sense now. Let me just zoom in for you guys. Now you can see that quite clearly, this is the roof. It bounces all the way down, nearly closes on the line, hits once, bounces down, hits twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and then we start to bounce around down the bottom again. That's what we're looking at, guys. That's exactly what we're looking for. So, if we move to a different part of what is going on here, let's try and find another example. Here's a really good example. So say we were to catch this live. In fact, there's another area down here, but we'll have a look at this one right here. Say this is where catching it live. All I've just gone into replay mode, and I've just jumped back to the 3rd of May, 22nd of 2022, I should say. And all we're going to do again is just draw the support line. Why am I drawing it here, guys? Well, 1, quite clearly this is an area of consolidation. You could say, well, it's still trending. We've got a high here, we've got a lower high here, and then we've got another lower high here. But yes, look at all the bottoms. Even this bottom, look how close it is with the wicks right here and right here. Are we truly making any new lower lows? Yes, this one did break through. It did break through. But now we can see that we've bounced once down here. Bounced twice, bounced 3 times, bounced 4 times. The lows, we are definitely finding support right here. And if we go and we have a look at these highs, look at this. We've got 1 high here. We've got 2 highs here. 3 highs here. We're coming up to a 4th high. So it is definitely, even though it did come up here, bouncing around within this level quite clearly. Whereas over here, we can see that it doesn't actually do that. We've got clearly defined highs and lows. The clearly defined highs and lows over here are all within this area. So we've got that area of consolidation. Yes, it has broken through over here, but that's going to be our third part, what we're talking about. This is going to be more of a breakout strategy. So we don't need to worry about it here. It can break out. Sometimes it does break through the ceiling, but for the most part, it's going to come and it's going to fall back in. If we did catch it beforehand, right? Look, that at this point, the market is still trending. Quite clearly, it's still trending. That is a pullback. Only when it starts to bounce around, like we see here, finding and hitting that ceiling and also hitting the floor, that trampoline, that's when it starts to become support. So that's what we're really looking for right here. So again, I'm putting it here because look, the wicks are all ending the same place, roughly, because again, crypto is not a game of perfection, or the candles are closing at the exact same areas. So that is how to find, identify, and where to put your support and resistance lines. Now, again, in the next episode, we are going to be going over how we can actually trade this, how we can make some money out of this. And in the third episode, we'll be going over breakouts, how to trade through a breakout strategy. All right, guys, thank you for that. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, stay safe.